Have you ever suffered from a common cold or the flu and you've really struggled to get over it in a manner that is typical time duration that your friends or your family have done? It takes you a lot longer. Or perhaps you're much more susceptible to common colds or flus or infections. This used to be me. Back in 2016, I used to commonly have sinusitis infections, constantly going to the doctor, having to get antibiotics because I wasn't able to fight those infections myself. And it was really wearing. I'd go on holiday, breaking from work, and I would frequently just get floored. My immune system would crash and I'd end up sleeping for a really long time. If this is you, I hope this will help you. What I found is when I learned that I really needed to take back control of my well-being because my energy was rock bottom, I learned through high performance coaching and eventually became certified as a high performance coach and a brain health coach, that when you look after your well-being, everything else changes. So here I really want to talk about how can you boost your immune system and fight an infection, and why is it important? Because we're now in an epidemic of a coronavirus which is spreading around the world, and there's 4 phases that we can talk about, I want to talk about today. One that is really being focused on is prevention through the government advice, which is catch it, bin it, kill it, and also treatment. It's recommended, that's phase 3, that we self-isolate at home for 2 weeks. But the question is, how can we help boost our resistance to it? That's boosting our immune system. And also, how can we help with the recovery from it? So who are the at-risk groups? Those with a low immune system, used to be me, older people, and those that have got long-term health conditions, including diabetes, cancer, and chronic lung disease. So if you think that is you, then please listen in. If you know anybody who is at risk, then please pass this vlog on to them, because I hope this will help you. I'm going to try and go through it quickly, but not too fast so you miss stuff. So there's 5 key things that you can do to help you boost your immune system and fight an infection. These are conveniently remembered by the mnemonic virus. V stands for vagus nerve. What happens in vagus doesn't stay in vagus when we're talking about the vagus nerve. The vagus nerve connects your brain to your heart, to your gut and other parts of your body. It's the reason why we get butterflies when we are nervous, and also why we get that sick feeling in our gut when we are anxious. So we call the gut the second brain. And why is it second brain? Because it's so important that we look after our gut health, looks after our whole body and our brain health. When the gut works right, you work right, and our gut is our first line of defense to fighting an infection. So that's where we start. So if we look at the gut lining, there's a single cell thick, it's called a mucosal cell. And when it's working well, we've got lots of good bacteria in our gut, not so many bad bacteria. They say that the relationship should be 85% good bugs to 15% bad bugs. And when that's working well, our gut's working well, we've got nice tight junctions that stops infections entering our bloodstream. When it's not working well, the gut lining starts to break down. We've got an imbalance of good bugs to bad bugs, too many bad bugs, and it makes it much easier for the viruses and bacteria to pass through our intestine and into our bloodstream. This is typically called leaky gut. So what can we do to really boost our good bugs and decrease the number of bad bugs that we have? Omega-3, make sure we've got a good balance of omega-3, that it's optimal for you. You can get omega-3 from cold water fish, including salmon, sardines, trout, tuna, mackerel, herring and halibut, as well as walnuts and avocados. You can also obviously get it through high quality supplements. It's important that you take the right amount of omega-3 for you. If necessary, go to your healthcare provider and get your omega-3 levels checked. Secondly, we can look at prebiotics. These prebiotics help feed the good bugs, the good bugs in our gut. This includes apples, beans, cabbage, artichokes, onions, leeks, asparagus, squash and root vegetables. And basically it's the fibre that comes into our body that helps feed these good bugs and helps build a good microbiome. That's the relationship of good and bad bugs in our gut. Also looking at probiotics, which will help. These are supplements that you can take to help boost your good bugs in your body, and working in combine with prebiotics has been deemed best. Again, if you know you have a low immune system, you can consider taking probiotics. As with anything I say here, please talk to your health care professional before changing anything that you do. Fibre is oats and wholemeal products and whole fruit. Whole fruit's really important, because when you puree your fruit, when you turn it into a fruit juice, you get rid of that important fibre and you've got just loads of sugar. So we don't want that. Why? Because sugar feeds the bad bugs. It increases yeast in our gut system. That's the bad bugs that we don't want to have too many of. Medications, only take medications that are necessary for you. Limit the number of medications that you take as appropriate for your health condition. Why? Because antibiotics actually can deplete the good bugs in our body, in our gut. And we're not just talking about antibiotics that we take from medication, we're also talking about antibiotics that enter the food chain. So where possible, eat meats that are antibiotic and hormone free. From a UK perspective, look for the tractor logo. As I said, sugar really feeds bad bugs, really is not good for your microbiome. Thirdly, high glycemic, low fibre foods. Why? Because these turn into sugar very quickly. So here we're talking about white rice, white pasta, white bread, white potatoes. Processed foods, again, feed not good for your microbiome. Gluten increases inflammation and is also considered an allergy. So try and avoid gluten if you can, and look at other allergies that could cause an imbalance in your gut. Artificial sweeteners, again, are not helpful, and excessive alcohol. So why excessive alcohol? Well, we use alcohol as sanitizers to get rid of the bugs on our hands. When we put too much alcohol into our body, it wipes out the good bugs in our gut. So we're doing the same thing as we do with a hand sanitizer, and that's really not helping our microbiome. It's increasing our risk of getting infections, also increases the risk of inflammation. So I hope that helps. Next up is looking at eyes for inflammation. So we've got two types of inflammation. The first is external, so that's stuff that we can see on our body, and the second is internal, which is where most of the inflammation lies. It's like a little fire in our body. So what we don't want to do is we don't want to feed that fire. We don't want to make it worse. A little bit of inflammation is good. Inflammation is necessary to help us fight infection. What happens with inflammation is our blood flows to the site that the body is trying to treat, and then with the increased blood flow to the site comes the white blood cells and all the supporting nutrients that are necessary to fight that infection. That's why we get inflammation, but we don't want to put it in our systems unnecessarily. Why? Because when we're constantly fighting infection, we run out of all of the white blood cells to fight something that is really important, like coronavirus, for example. So what increases inflammation? High omega-3 and low levels of high omega-6, and low levels of omega-3. Processed foods increase inflammation. Gum disease, sugar, really bad for inflammation. Levels of stress that you have in your life, and pesticides. How can you reduce inflammation? Make sure you get your omega-3 levels optimal, either through fish, avocados, nuts, or supplementation. Make sure it's high quality supplements, that it is going to support the right levels of omega-3 that you need. Limit your sugar intake, pesticides, and the amount of processed foods. Look at prebiotics and probiotics to boost your microbiome. Make sure you floss and look after your gum health. That's a massive contributor to inflammation. And importantly, look at your stress management tactics to reduce the stress in your life. Next up is R. R is for resilience. So from a brain health coaching perspective, we talk about the importance of your brain reserve. So we have a certain level of brain reserve that we are born with, depending on how we've grown in the womb, and also what our genetic predispositions are. And over time, as we get older, that brain reserve will decrease, and it also decreases based on life events, whether that's childhood trauma, whether it's trauma that you've had during your life, exposure to toxins. There's 11 risk factors associated with your brain health, which is described in the book The End of Mental Illness by Dr. Daniel Amen. But really, when we're talking about reserve, we're talking about a whole body reserve. When that whole body reserve is depleted, you get symptomatic. And this is all about boosting our immune system. So how can we build resilience? Well, from a framework perspective, I talk about the wellbeing warrior framework. That's our emotional well-being, our physical well-being, our mental well-being, and our spiritual well-being. What do I mean by that? So our emotions are how we feel, so you can remember the mnemonic facts. Our feelings, our physical well-being are the actions that we take, the habits that we have in our life. Our mental well-being are the thoughts that we have. Our spiritual well-being is our connection to ourselves, our purpose, our values, and our beliefs, and our connection to others. And then finally, around this whole thing, this is a target focusing on yourself. Around that target are our surroundings, things that cause us to actually reduce our well-being. That includes toxins, toxic environment, toxic cultures. So how can you boost your resilience? So from an emotional perspective, focus on your feelings. Check in with your feelings. How do you feel today? For me, I'm energized, I'm focused, I'm excited to share the importance of boosting our immune system to help you, your family, and your friends protect yourself in terms of increasing your level of resistance and helping you with your recovery. Physical well-being, the actions that you take. So you make sure you do 150 minutes of exercise is the recommended amount of exercise, moderate exercise a week. That's recommended by the NHS. Do what exercise is appropriate to your personal health. So walk like you're late if you can. Consider lifting weights. Do what's appropriate to you. Again, talk to your medical practitioner about what is appropriate to you. And that also includes breathing exercises. So my dad used to suffer from chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. Every single day he used to do breathing exercises, and that really helped boost his physical well-being. Mental well-being is your thoughts. How are you connecting with your thoughts? Don't believe every crazy thought you have. They frequently lie to you. And your spiritual well-being is your connection to your purpose, your values, your beliefs, and your growth people. So people that are helping boost your immune system. How are your connections? Are they helping you boost your immune system, or are they going to hurt your immune system? How can you deal with that? And sometimes that can be quite challenging because the people that hurt us hurt us in terms of our growth and well-being development can also be in our family. So think of the mnemonic facts. Next, U is for understanding. So make sure you take the time to understand the habits that are really helping you boost your immune system and the habits that are hurting you. And what's key here is to do those tiny daily habits that will really start boosting your immune system and help you climb back up that brain reserve curve that I showed you earlier. And know your why. Understand your why. Why is it important that you exist? Why are you here on this planet? Perhaps you don't know, but why do you get up every morning? What is important to you? For me, my why is helping people activate and harness their full potential so that they can be the best of who they can be and that they can realise their dreams. Why do you care? Why is it important to you that you boost your immune system and boost your health and well-being? And why is health important to you? So for me, it's really important because I want to be around for my daughter Lily's 60th birthday. I also want to give her the tools and techniques so that she can not only survive, but she can thrive in what is becoming an increasingly challenging world for the younger generation. Really important. Understand your why. Finally, S is for sleep. Sleep is the one thing that we typically have to resort to when we are succumbed by a viral infection. So what hurts your sleep? Bad sleep habits, having a room too hot, light in the room, noise, gadgets and screen time, going to bed worried, alcohol, nicotine and marijuana, caffeine, naps in the day, hormonal changes and so on. So what do we need in terms of sleep? So we need 7 to 8 hours of quality sleep as adults and 8+ hours for children. Why is sleep so important? Because when you go to sleep, your brain washes itself of all the toxins, all of the bad chemicals that built up in the day. And if you don't give your brain enough time to clean itself, then you're still going to have dirty laundry, those dirty toxins stuck in your brain. It'll keep cumulatively building up, and that's really not going to help boost your immune system. So how can you help yourself in terms of sleep? Well, make sure you care about the importance of sleep. Avoid the things that hurt it. Engage in sleep healthy habits. So what can we do? Make sure your room is cool. Make sure you've darkened your room. Use blackout curtains when you can. Reduce the amount of noise in your room. Stop getting engaged with gadgets and screen time. Shut them down an hour before bed and turn to the traditional book. This is one of the biggest challenges for me, and I'm sure it is for many others. Try not to go to bed worried. Make sure if you typically go to bed in a worried state that you have a journal and you write down the thoughts that are making you feel anxious. You get any of those worries out of your head and onto paper, and think about what are you grateful for that day that's been shown to boost happiness. Avoid alcohol, nicotine and marijuana. Alcohol and nicotine and marijuana all disrupt our sleep patterns. They make us go to sleep better, but actually our sleep isn't as effective. Caffeine, again, that disrupts our sleep pattern. Avoid caffeine as recommended by Dr. Daniel Amen. Don't have caffeine after 2 p.m. That includes caffeine in coffee, in tea, in chocolate. So for me, I'm definitely going to stop eating chocolate later on in the day. Avoid naps in the day, that disrupts your sleep cycle. Be aware of any hormonal changes that you may have, and if your hormones are off balance, then go and talk to your doctor and get your hormone levels checked. Make sure you manage any stress levels and that you calm yourself down. So we can use hypnosis and meditation to help manage stress in the evening. The Calm app is really good for helping you with stress and helping you go to sleep. Avoid eating close to bedtime. That's really not good. That also increases your risk of heart disease because your body's constantly working and you're not having that time to shut down. Avoid exercising. So try not to exercise 4 hours before bed, which can be difficult to do for some, but try and do it as early in the day as possible. And make sure you've got healthy sleep habits in place to manage jet lag. So try and get yourself into the new time zone. 1 hour changes each day so that you step into the new time zone that you're going into as soon as you can. So I hope that really helps you. So let's just quickly reflect. We talked about how can you boost your immune system and fight infection. This is talking about the step 2, which is your resistance to infection, to help increase your resistance. And also step 4, the phase 4 of the cycle, is recovery, to help you recover more effectively. And we remember about the mnemonic virus. V is for vagus nerve. Make sure you boost your good bugs and don't feed the bad bugs. I is for inflammation. Eat foods that decrease inflammation and avoid foods and lifestyle that boosts it. R is for resilience, looking at your emotional, physical, mental and spiritual well-being, and consider the mnemonic facts, how you feel. How am I feeling today? What actions are helping or hurting me? What connections do I have to myself, my values and beliefs and others? What thoughts have I got going on, and are my surroundings optimised for my health? Understanding what is helping and hurting you, and understanding why you care, why this is so important to you. And finally, sleep. Adopt sleep healthy habits and avoid activities that can steal your quality sleep. I hope this serves you. My name is Dr. Ruth Mary Allen. I'm a certified brain health coach and high performance coach. If you liked this and you know this will help people in your family, your community and beyond, your workplace, please like and share it. If you would like further information on how you can take back control of your well-being, boost your brain health and really become the best person that you can be, please click on the link below to arrange a free strategy session. Look after yourself, do the things that help you, avoid the things that harm you, and take care. Thank you.